Take your things and leave, my brother Lucas laughed, tossing my suitcase onto the gravel outside the garage like I was yesterday's trash. My parents stood behind him without saying a word. My younger sister avoided my eyes. I simply nodded, picked up the old brass key from my pocket, and unlocked the garage. The moment the rusted door rolled upward, every smile on their faces disappeared. They thought it was just an abandoned storage space. They had no idea I'd spent the last 11 years quietly protecting something our late grandfather never trusted any of them to touch. I didn't say a single word. Some victories begin with silence. If you had walked past our house in Curitiba that afternoon, you would have thought I was the daughter being thrown away. What no one knew, not even Lucas, was that he had just handed me the one opportunity I'd been waiting for since the day Grandpa whispered his final promise to me in a hospital room 8 years earlier. 8 years earlier, when my grandfather was dying in a private hospital in Curitiba, everyone else was arguing over his house, his savings, and his land. I was the only one sitting beside his bed. Just minutes before he closed his eyes for the last time, he slipped an old envelope into my hand and whispered, "Never let Lucas open the garage until he forces you to." At the time, I thought the medication was confusing him. I hid the envelope in a safe deposit box and never mentioned it again. Months later, my parents changed the locks, slowly pushed me out of every family decision, and eventually convinced Lucas that I only cared about Grandpa's money. I stayed silent because I was waiting for the right moment. That moment arrived the day my own brother threw me out. As the garage door finished opening, Lucas pushed past me with a smug grin, expecting dusty furniture and broken tools. Instead, he froze. Inside sat Grandpa's untouched 1971 pickup truck, dozens of sealed wooden crates, and a steel filing cabinet with my name engraved on a brass plate. Then Lucas whispered something that made my stomach drop. "Mom, you told me this garage was emptied years ago." My mother suddenly turned pale, and for the first time, I realized she had been hiding something from all of us. Lucas rushed toward the filing cabinet before I could stop him, but it wouldn't budge. The lock wasn't electronic or hidden behind a code. It needed a simple brass key, the same one hanging around my neck since Grandpa's funeral. My father suddenly stepped forward, his voice shaking for the first time in years. "Don't open it here." That single sentence told me everything. He already knew what was inside. I unlocked the cabinet anyway. The first shelf held old photographs of Grandpa standing beside me in the garage every summer while Lucas and my parents were always missing. The second shelf contained notarized journals documenting every improvement we'd made to the property together. But it was the bottom drawer that changed everything. Inside was a sealed legal folder addressed to me, along with dozens of unopened letters Grandpa had written over the last decade. The first sentence made my knees weak. "If you're reading this, someone in our family finally betrayed you exactly as I feared." Before I could turn the next page, Lucas snatched another envelope marked "Open only if the family forces her out." His smile vanished instantly. This can't be real," he whispered. Then a black SUV pulled into the driveway, and an elderly lawyer stepped out holding a leather briefcase, looking directly at me as if he'd been expecting this day for years. The lawyer introduced himself as Eduardo Moreira, my grandfather's attorney for nearly 30 years. Without looking at anyone else, he handed me the leather briefcase and said, "Your grandfather instructed me to come only if you were ever forced out of this house." Inside were the original property deeds, updated trust documents, and a recorded video message. We watched it right there in the driveway. Grandpa looked directly into the camera and said, "If you're seeing this, the family chose greed over loyalty." He explained that years earlier he had legally transferred ownership of the garage, the land beneath it, and everything inside to me through a private family trust. The rest of the house had been left to my parents, but only as long as they never tried to remove me from the property. By throwing me out, they had unknowingly violated the trust's primary condition. Eduardo calmly placed the final document into my brother's trembling hands. It was a court-certified notice confirming that the entire property now belonged to me. Lucas stared at my parents in disbelief. Neither of them could speak. I didn't smile. I didn't celebrate. I simply picked up my suitcase, walked back through the front door they had closed on me minutes earlier, and realized Grandpa had never left me an inheritance. He had left me the truth, and enough patience to let it reveal itself at exactly the right moment.